welcome to another edition of the 1430 Connection on your hometown station, 1430 WNAV. I'm Barbara Cox, and today we actually go live at Jonas Green Park for a very important press conference that's being held by the Department of Natural Resources. I have two guests here with me. I will let them introduce themselves, and then we'll share with you exactly what we're talking about. You are?
I am Lynn Fegley from Maryland DNR Fisheries Service.
You've been with DNR for quite a while, right?
I have. I've been with DNR for almost 20 years.
And what do you do with them?
I am the Deputy Director of Fisheries Service, so I do fisheries management.
And that's what we'll be talking about. And you are?
Brenda Davis.
And your position with DNR?
I'm the Blue Crab Program Manager.
Blue crab. She hit the nail on the head when she said crabs, didn't she? That's what today's press conference has actually been about. It's been about limiting the amount of crabs that you actually will take from the Chesapeake Bay. Now, I know you had something very important when it talks about the crabs. There's a reason why the limit has been placed. Will you share that with us?
Yes, and it's important to say that the limits that we have this year are not new. They're not new for the recreational component of the fishery, but we are working with our partners in the Natural Resources Police to just make sure that everybody knows the rules and they're following the rules. And the reason we're doing this year is because the crab population has given us a little bit of concern this year. We're not in a state of panic, but we are on high alert. And the reason is because in our annual survey, where we measure the number of crabs resident in the bay, what we found this year was that the number of adult females, so the spawning females, the moms who produce the next generation, were lower than we'd like to see. So we actually have a scientifically established minimum level that we want to stay above, and they fell just below that level. So we're working to just make sure that we extend as much protection to these animals as we can so that we have a healthy number of females to produce the next generation.
When you talk about those numbers and healthy production, if you limit them this year, how long will it take before you start seeing the results of the limitations?
Well, so our goal here really is to begin this fall. In September, we'll actually lower the daily catch limits that commercial watermen can catch, and that will protect the females that migrate south. So the way this works is that female crabs present in Maryland, they'll mate, they'll molt to maturity, at which time they mate, and then they will all migrate down bay into Virginia waters where they're overwinter and spawn next year. So our goal this fall is to help as many of those females basically get out of Maryland waters and into Virginia waters. We're working very closely with our partners in Virginia. They are implementing additional conservation measures for the spring when those crabs wake up to spawn. And it is important to say that a higher number of females does not guarantee a higher number of juveniles, but it definitely increases our odds that we're going to get a good recruitment. So hopefully we will see the results of our efforts in next year's winter survey when we look at both the number of juveniles that have arrived and the number of adults.
When it comes to commercial fishermen, what are the current limitations that they have in place?
Right, so commercial fishermen have very strict daily catch limits for female crabs. Their bushel limits vary through the season, and they depend on the license type that the commercial crabber holds. So they're a little bit complicated to just repeat, but they do have a strict catch limit. They have a vessel limit, so you can't put 10 people on the boat and each get your catch limit. And they also stop commercial crabbing for females earlier. They stop November 10th but they can continue to crab on males till the 15th of December.
Now, you've been all the talking, and we've let your ace sit over here kind of quietly. So now we're going to come over here to you. When it comes to doing your job, what specifically is it that you do to make sure crabbing continues in Anne Arundel County?
We work very closely with the Chesapeake Bay Stock Assessment and their recommendations for the management of the resource. And through their guidance, we craft regulations and catch restrictions to work with the number of crabs to keep that harvest level safe.
Do you find, or can you share with me, how often regulations are crafted? Once they are crafted, do they stay in line for or in place for a number of years or a season?
Sure. Every year we do the winter dredge survey, and from that survey we get our abundance estimate. And it is that number of crabs that we have to work on the following season. So the 2014 winter dredge abundance is what sets our harvest limits for the 2014 crabbing season.
So when we have a winter like we had last winter, how does that play into what we think we're going to see when it comes to crabbing?
And overwintering mortality is one of the things that we estimate from the survey. And as everybody knows, this last winter was very long and very cold. And our mature crabs, the large crabs, are the ones that are most susceptible to overwintering mortality. And we lost about 30% of our adult population to overwintering, to winter kill.
I've been hearing people talk about the size of the crab, the weight of the crab. How does that play with these restrictions?
I guess the way the size of the crab matters, because for male crabs we do have a size limit. So we start the season in April. People can keep, recreational and commercial crabbers alike may keep a 5-inch crab. On July 15th, that increases to 5 1/4 inches. So for female crabs, we do not allow recreational crabbers to keep females. For commercial fishermen who are on very strict limits for females, they are only allowed to keep the mature females, the ones with the Capitol Dome shaped apron. And I just want to say too that I don't know that everybody knows this, but female crabs that are present in Maryland, if you find a mature female crab, that female, when she molted to maturity, she did mate. She has not yet spawned. So every female crab that you find in Maryland waters is essentially a mom-to-be. And I think that's a really important that point that many people don't know. It's important because those are the very females who will embark on their trip down bay in the fall and then go to sleep for the winter and wake up and release their eggs.
Now, I don't know if people are like me. I'm not a native Marylander. For me, I like to see the crabs on the plate, put a little Old Bay on it, and I go to eating. How can you tell the difference, or I don't know how to tell the difference between a male or a female crab? Help me out.
On the belly or the apron of the crab, they're very different shapes for males and females. The male apron is referred to as the Washington Monument. It's a very tall, thin apron in the middle of the belly. An immature female has a very triangular shaped apron, and when she molts to maturity and they have to mate because that's their terminal molt, they don't grow anymore. They put their energy into egg production after that instead of growth. But the apron changes shape to what's referred to as the Capitol Dome. It's very rounded with the little point at the top, and that shape is what holds the egg mass.
And now I've got my education. So now instead of just sprinkling the Old Bay on the outside, I'm going to flip it over and really start looking at the size of the, what's that?
The apron.
The apron, yes. Okay. So we know we've talked about recreational fishing and, individuals that actually catch crabs. We're not saying to them, hey, you can't crab. What we are saying is that there are limits out there. Be aware of them because there are also penalties.
That's right. And so two things are important for recreational crabbers. People should enjoy their crabbing experience. It's very important to follow the rules and to know the rules. And for people who want to eat crabs, go eat crabs. It is our job and our responsibility to manage this fishery safely. That's why we're here. That's what we do. We would encourage people, go eat crabs.
You heard it coming from DNR itself. Thank you for joining me. We'll be right back with the final segment to